So, today's Reddit stories are brought to you by Petty Revenge. I just figured it would be kind of fun to do. So, let's see. Let's skip this track. There we go. Our first story is My Fake Children. This isn't a targeted revenge, but long story short, I work for a large corporation. Everyone around me all have children. I do not. Constantly, people are coming in late or leaving early because daughter has softball practice, or sorry, my son has a doctor's appointment this morning. Nobody actually cares. They are very accepting of it because, well, it's children. When there are Then there are the childless who are unable to clock in after a few minutes late due to traffic or etc. Sorry, my daughter has to go to the doctor. She laid an egg last night and we had to get it checked out. We'll work without further question. that's kind of... So I did what any rational man who just wants a late morning every couple of months would do. I AI generated pictures of my two kids. I framed them and put them on my desk. I also have pictures of my wallet that I pull out from time to time to show co-workers my pride and joy right there. My kids' names are Pierce and Haley. Pierce is the oldest and loves playing soccer. I take him to games all the time. And now I leave work at 3 on Fridays to pick him up from school because my wife, also AI generated, is working. I have so much free time and excused time off recently. It's been great. That's actually kind of ingenious and terrible at the same time. Way to use your resources to solve a problem that didn't exist, but in like one of the most creative ways possible. That's kind of legendary. Of course, like, I could do without the AI generated stuff, but good for you, man. My child-free daughter uses me, her mom, age 65 and not needing of care, as an excuse to leave occasionally. She has to take me on eye appointments. She has to go to a doctor's appointment with me. Apparently, I'm doing physical therapy several times a month. Sometimes she needs rides, etc. I don't mind at all. What a great mother. What other fun comments are there? 23-year-old female here. I too say I have to pick up my pretend niece from school to babysit after work so I can come home. That the mom is a nurse and a single mother. I have a picture of my friend's little sibling that I showed to coworkers. You know, that's a great way to do it. I'm not gonna lie. As someone with actual children who has to occasionally use excuses to get out of work, I just want to say I support you. Haley should also sign up for extracurricular activities. Depending on how old Pierce is, he can start looking at colleges. And of course, you and the wife will have to drive him all day over the state looking for colleges. Nowadays, all kids play soccer, just saying. Fair. You know, that was a short and sweet one. Actually, all of these seem... No, there's some chunky ones here and there. Alright. that was kind of a fun, lighthearted one to kick things off with. I appreciate that. Why I'm banned from DoorDash. When I broke up with my ex many years ago, I attempted to transfer the internet bill from my name to his name. He was remaining in the house we were living in, and I was moving out. The internet company assured me everything was transferred to him. Fast forward like 4 to 5 months, and I start getting calls from collections saying that I owe more than $400 in missed internet bills. What? Apparently the internet bill was not transferred. I text my ex about the collections bill and ask him to send me the money since he's the one who failed to pay the bill. Never got a response. Turns out one of my ex's cards were still saved on my DoorDash account. I spent the next several weeks ordering tons of food off of his card because he was too dumb to cancel it sooner. I got my money back one way or another. That is an awesome way to break even on somebody who's just fucking ghosting you. Wow. Honestly, kind of ingenious. Fortunately, I'm lucky enough to have a very committed wife and will never have to worry about a situation like that, especially since I already handle all the finances and bills and everything. So it's like, anyways, like, just treat the people in your life with kindness and respect, and shit like this won't happen. That's a lovely and hopefully tasty way to break even. That's what I'm saying. I hope you were able to sort this out and that he actually paid his bills. If it's not sorted yet and you're still on the account, just cancel it. He can set it up on his own service. And they responded, yeah, I absolutely did that as soon as I could. Paid the collections and called it even as soon as the account was canceled. They'd already canceled it for non-payment, thankfully. That's good. You never want to, like, be in a situation where your shit goes to collections, because then it bashes your credit and tanks it. I know that from personal experience. It's never a fun time. I got hit with a hospital bill that went to collections a while back. It was not a hospital bill, an ambulance bill a while back, and it was a nightmare to sort through because it should have been covered on my insurance, but apparently it wasn't. It was just, it was a nightmare. Fortunately, things are in a much better spot now. Customer with bad excuses learned his lesson. Sounds like a restaurant story. I worked in a restaurant for a couple years, called it. It was a military-style restaurant with special rules. Normal people could access it like normal customers, but if you wanted to host an event or a big dinner with more than 10 people, you needed an arrangement, which was well known with every customer we had, especially those who came frequently. This particular customer had caused some issues beforehand, like hosting a birthday party for his daughter. She and her mother behaved like princesses, wanted us to cut 15 cakes and were overall super petty. But you know, for regulars, you take some hits. That's fair. Some months later, he called and made a reservation for 9 people, which was odd because I said when you came with 10 people, So I said when you came with 10 people, you had to make a special arrangement. Okay, yeah, I get it. Sorry, that sentence was odd to me. Since only soldiers worked there and we simply didn't have enough chefs casually waiting, obviously, he came with 11. For everyone who worked in a restaurant before, 2 people more or less isn't a big deal even if shit hits the fan. You take it. For us, it made more of a problem since we were held responsible for complying with the rules. A lot of customers tried to cheat them, and since we were soldiers, it was very easy to punish us. It's also something that every customer knew. So we were doing him a big favor at that moment. The evening found its end and we got a tip of $4. That was too much. The whole crew was fuming. It was a big invoice, as you can imagine. He paid for everyone and gave the smallest tip you can imagine. That's rough. Another couple of months later, we had our big annual festival. The restaurants were completely booked weeks before the festival for 4 days straight. Best time of the year, even though you don't know your name after all the stress anymore. This customer calls us Saturday evening and orders food for 20 people since it's his personal birthday going on. Or since he has his personal party going on. And requests that the food not be separately packed, since it would take up a huge amount of space and be massively inconvenient for transport. Excuse me. Hiccups. Let's skip that track. And requests that the food not be separately packed since it would take up a huge amount of space and would be massively inconvenient to transport, which I ordered the kitchen explicitly to overlook. When he arrived, he was mildly upset. as you can imagine how much space you need to fit into your car for this kind of order. I got my revenge in another way. He found out that his wife took all the money in his pocket and asked if he can come back the other day. I kindly told him that this is not possible and I need the money today. So he had to make a 20-minute drive only to get to the next ATM. Took him 40 minutes extra for the food to take home. This made not only my day, but also the whole group felt a huge relief. Yeah, don't. Oh, that's bad. And like, I get like in military, you kind of have to suck it up to make shit work. But like, man, that's rough. Is the dude being told repeatedly like, hey, you can't do these big orders, these big parties. We just can't handle the extra management, only for him to just like repeatedly ignore it over and over and over and over again. Would just have me fucking fuming. I used to work at like Taco Bell, and God, I remember one night we got an order of like 24 12 taco packs, and like right before we were about to close. It was a nightmare to deal with. Like, it was so bad. And like, we were just like ready to go home. We were already about like midway through kind of cleaning everything up, and then just like bam. And since it was a mobile order, you can't really cancel it, so you just have to like suck it up and do it. It was the worst. It was so bad. This is like probably from out of Germany as opposed to like something in the United States. Makes sense for some of the way that he formatted his sentences, but like, ooh, man, I'd be livid. It'd be so bad. Let's see, new manager. This happened a long time ago, but I just remembered the story as I was talking to friends who used to be in the wine industry. Back then, it wasn't common for there to be one female in this. Let's skip that track. Let's skip that one too. Back then, it wasn't common for there to be one female in an entire sales force, and it just happened to be me. I let management know that I was interested in becoming a sales manager rather than just a salesperson, but never received much of a response. One of the much less experienced salesmen who was promoted over me to sales manager told me that he wanted to go out on the road with me one day to see my accounts and increase my sales. This guy didn't know squat about sales, wine, or talking to people in a way that'll get them to purchase more. The thing about sales is that it's much more than connection. It's much more about connection with a person than the product you're selling. If you can connect, they will buy. This is true. As somebody who also used to work sales a long time ago. At the time, I was driving a Volvo, and it was one of the first cars with heated seats. The new sales manager gets me into the car with me. It's a hot, humid day, and he's wearing a brand new heavy wool suit. When he got into the car, I turned on his heat seater. My first account was about 40 minutes from the office, and I can see him starting to squirm. I knew that he was heating up because he was practically dripping sweat. But all of a sudden, he looks at me and said, "Oh, babies, my balls are roasting." I responded, "Not interested." We're at the next account. One of the greatest experiences of my life. That's fucking... that's fucking awesome. That's... I have no response. That's just like legendary. That's so good. This response, not interested, just immediately moves on. Fucking love that. Let's see. My boss wanted me to falsify invoices, so I gave him a hardware problem my last 2 weeks. Hey Tay, how's it going? Hope you're faring well. We're just out here reading Reddit. My boss wanted me to falsify invoices, so I gave him a hardware problem my last 2 weeks. I was a system administrator at a company and the domain admin, meaning that I could manage user profiles and start up scripts. One of the directors asked me to do something I absolutely wasn't comfortable with. Alter invoices after they were generated so clients would be billed for work that wasn't actually performed. Oh. The extra money helped make his department look more profitable. He knew that I was one of the only 2 people in the company with access to Photoshop and assumed that I was morally bent in his favor. I was not. I refused. I told my boss, and my boss did nothing. And when my boss did nothing, I put in my invoice. A few weeks later, I was already in my final 2 weeks with the company, and he pushed again to alter a bunch of invoices, this time claiming it was an approved thing from accounting. I refused again, but this time I also decided that he could experience a small IT mystery. I wrote a simple batch script that randomly rebooted a computer between 5 to 10 minutes on startup and added it to his profile startup script through Active Directory. Okay, that's pretty good. Actually, I like that a lot. I knew I had full access to everyone's machines, but he assumed it was a hardware issue because they were experiencing them for a full year across his department. After about 5 random reboots, he called me to his office to fix it. As the director went to lunch and I sat down on his computer, stared at the screen, and began my extremely advanced troubleshooting process. I ate the Skittles from the jar on his desk for around 5 minutes. I told him to keep an eye on it. He never figured it out. The funniest part is that my own IT manager had no idea what startup scripts were. So a file named something boring like CMOS updates.bat was enough to fly under the radar. I left the company. A week later, this old director started contacting me, demanding I finished a project that I had committed to unpaid. It was something my replacement could have handled. I ignored the messages, blocked his number, and moved on. Perpetual reboot insanity.bat lives on in legend now. I love that. That's awesome. When they ask you to do work after you leave, that's when you bust out the consulting rate, which is 3x what they were paying before you left. 10x, 3x is lowballing it. Yeah, start 10, take 3. That's great. That's something that I would do. Absolutely. If I was working at an IT company, I would just completely blast somebody's system with something like that just to... that's really fun. I like that. Smart dude. Genuinely. I'm good. Why am I reading Reddit? We're reading Reddit because Reddit's fun. Everybody loves Reddit. I'm also reading Reddit so that I can have something to upload to my YouTube. People like it when people read Reddit. At least that's the way that I see it. And I've been enjoying reading Reddit, and it also like helps me with my reading comprehension, and like people tell me all the time that I have a good voice and I should use it. So this is me using it, you know? Let's see, what's another good track? Yeah, this is a good one. Beep beep, friendly wave. I drive a scooter. I live in the mountains of Taiwan. The roads are narrow and windy. Terrible visibility and people drive insanely here, so speeding up would be stupid and risky. I was driving my usual route to work, driving the speed limit or slightly over. There are very few spots to safely overtake, but when I hit them, I keep to the side. Standard driving etiquette. Some asshole in a shock BMW was up my arse the whole way down the mountain. Didn't overtake any of the safe spots. The road opened up for a bit at the bottom of the mountain and he flew past suddenly. There was very little space between us, beeping the whole way. It was quite a reckless maneuver, the kind that works great until it kills someone. I just kept going. When I got to the very slow traffic lights ahead, I made sure to weave my scooter through the cars until I found a nice spot that put me right in front of him. Again, I could have kept going to the front, but I liked that spot. I gave him a big smile and a friendly wave. Prick. I love that. It's kind of, again, the kind of shit that I would do. Just seriously, like, fuck those kinds of guys. We get them all the time around like the Seattle area as well, of just like people who are impatient as hell and blitz, and I mean blitz their way down the freeway. It's super duper scary, and always a great time to be put into one of those positions where you feel like you're going to get into a car wreck because somebody is just being insane. So anyways, that wraps that smaller Reddit segment for today, but I think it was